The reward of service is a fair reward. Everyone wants to be recognized, rewarded, and promoted after spending time or putting effort into achieving something. Nobody does anything without the desire to be rewarded and promoted. And as humans, we already know the inputs to give and what the commensurate reward and promotions are. As a student, you know clearly that when you put in your best in your academic activities, after 3 semesters or terms, you would be promoted to the next class. So also a worker in an organization, you know that meeting set targets before deadlines and having increased productivity is the yardstick for promotion. The challenge here now is, after praying, serving, and engaging in other activities to please God, you may want to know if you have pleased God and earned favor for Him to promote you. You want to know whether your dedications and charity have stuck a cod in heaven for you to be rewarded and promoted. You want heaven to respond to you like God appeared to Solomon when he sacrificed what has not been sacrificed to God, or like Abraham, after attending to the angels of God, received his word of visitation, or to receive a blank check to request anything like Elisha. Like we often get rewarded and promoted in our earthly conducts, so also does our Heavenly Father reward and promote us to higher grounds and levels in life. God sometimes uses the challenges and obstacles the enemy brings into your life to turn them into stepping stones as God elevates you to move towards your destiny and fulfill your God-given purpose. Have you been feeling restless with doors closing on you, or you are having a heavy burden? All these feelings, signs, and happenings are not just ordinary or mere events. Usually, all these happenings are prompted by the Spirit of God within you, to believe in God as He is preparing to elevate you. But at certain times, we are unable to keep up with the activities and end up missing out on the promotion and elevation God is bringing our way. You will not fall or miss out again on the promotion that is coming your way. Your ladder to elevation is clear before you, and this time you would climb through to your new place and level. God is never unfaithful to His own. He is not unjust to ignore the labor and sacrifices of His people. He would perfect all that concerns you and make your elevation real and in time. Something is really fundamental here. Something is necessary to access the elevation. Like we put effort into our earthly practice to earn promotion and elevation in steps, what have you done for the kingdom to warrant you to receive an elevation? See, you must pay the price to get the honor. You must lay down something to receive a reward. Something must be credited to your heavenly account for you to be able to debit something bigger from it. Something must go down for another to rise higher. You must realize that the activities and actions of God involves principles, and they are respected. You cannot expect something from a system that you have not been guided by its principles. You cannot receive from what you do not believe in. A look at the story in Matthew 25. 2 of the servants believed in their master, and when they were given talents, money, or resources, they went out quickly and put it into use. And when their master came back and asked for an account, the 2 did very well and were made lord over cities in accordance to their result. The one that got 2 received headship over 2, and the one that got 5 from his trade received a mandate over 5 cities. Among them was one who saw his master as a wicked and heartless master, reaping where he did not sow, and so he decided to keep what his master gave to him and came to present it back empty to his master without making use of it. He was rewarded accordingly. What he had was taken and given to another and was relegated to suffer more. The question here is then, how faithful have you been with the assignment that God has given you? Do you believe in Him who has given you the task? How responsible have you been in carrying out your duties and assignment? Has the Lord called you into reaching out to the lost and unsaved? How have you been carrying this task? How many people have you reached out to? Has He called you into service or to assist in the running of His house? How committed have you been? Every man has been given a duty and assignment by God. Your promotion or elevation is largely dependent on the result you show at the end of the day. You do not expect to be unfaithful to God and expect to be elevated by Him. It does not work that way. Your works would be tested and measured. God saw how diligent Moses was taking care of his in-laws' cattle, and that qualified him to lead the children of Israel from Egypt to the promised land. God saw dedication and care in David, and that qualified him to be elevated as king over the people of Israel. God saw the fatherly spirit in Abraham and made him the father of nations. God saw the works and dedication of Elisha, and that qualified him to take the mantle. God saw the little work of Joshua and made him take over from Moses. What have you done in your place of primary assignment that God can see and on that basis promote you? Are your works measurable? Can your works stand the test of time? How impactful have you been in your service? This is a sure way to get an elevation from God, and when He lifts you, no man or system can bring you down. Make up your mind today and be engaged and productive in the things that concern God. Another action that can propel or qualify us for elevation is our giving. You must be interested in making others better with your resources. The Bible explicitly instructed us to bring into the house of God our tithes and offerings, which qualifies you for tremendous openings and lifting. In Acts 10, we can see the account of a man called Cornelius. He was a devout man and was so engaged and committed to giving of alms to people that this moved God, and Peter had to be summoned to ensure he was rightly saved. Cornelius was elevated in all areas of his life. Your elevation might not be of increased wealth, but migration from one status to another, like the Shunammite woman in 2 Kings, who attended to the needs of the prophet, and her life changed from a barren and single woman to a mother. You are set for increase and elevation when you decide to obey the law of giving and tithing. Give to the needy, and by so doing, you are drawing and attracting the attention of heaven your way to attend to your matter, and an elevation must come your way. The widow of Zarephath was elevated from a woman who was waiting to die to someone who became a perpetual supplier of provisions. She attained this elevation by her sacrifice to the needs of the prophet. It was the sacrifice of Solomon that made God promote and elevate him as the richest king that ever lived during his time, and to this date, no king is as wealthy as he was. do you want to see in elevation in your life? Do you desire to rise in life? Then giving to God and the brethren in need is a gateway to attaining that elevation. God gives us the power to get wealth through what He has appointed and anointed us to do. This is why you need to discover your God-given gifts and use them to glorify God, not man. There is a reward in using your talents and gifts rightly, as we saw in the story of the 3 servants who were given talents by their master. When you please God, you bring Him glory. God will elevate you. As He lifts and elevates you, you must not allow pride to take hold of your heart, like Saul, who was elevated by God from a small and disregarded tribe in Israel. God removed him from that exalted position. When you forget where God has brought you from to the place you are currently, and engage in attitude, lifestyle, and pattern that is contrary to His ways and teachings, you are set for demotion. Submit yourself to His will instead of your feelings and desires. Your time of lifting, elevation, and promotion is now. Your set time is now, and God is interested in seeing that your level changes. Your acts and responsibilities have drawn the attention of heaven. Your giving and alms have gone up as an honor to God. The elevation of God in your life would be permanent. It is your time. It is your season.